Where we're losing on the right to work battle is in those traditionally blue states, where people think a little bit differently than we do in North Carolina and Kansas, where I'm from. So let me tell you a story about Pam Harris. Pam Harris is a mother of a son, Joshua. Joshua was born with Rubinstein-Taybi syndrome. It's a developmental disability that means he needs constant care around the clock. And for 26 years, Pam Harris, his mother, has been that caretaker. She's been with him every single day of his life. She receives a modest benefit through a Medicaid waiver to help offset some of the costs that it takes to care for Joshua. Well, in 2009, former Illinois governor, she's from Northern Illinois, signed Executive Order 15. And in that forced Pam Harris and home health care workers like her into the SEIU because they were running low on cash and they needed to take money from Medicaid benefits. Pam, one day, was taking care of her son, Joshua, and there was a knock on her door, and it was Joe Union who showed up and said, "Hi, Pam Harris. I'm Joe Union. I'm with the SEIU, and congratulations. We didn't take the time to run this through a ballot initiative. We didn't even go through the legislature. We just patted Governor Quinn on the back and said, hey, we got this bill for you, and it's forcing you, Pam, into my union, the SEIU. You're going to pay us union dues. We're going to get between you and your son Joshua so that he doesn't take advantage of you. By the way, you're welcome. Everything's going to be fine." Doesn't that sound ridiculous? Pam was scared. She fought back. She organized all of her home health care worker friends, informed them about what was going on and what they needed to do. They actually held a vote. The home health care workers did. They held a vote. And they voted down the SEIU. They said, no, we don't want a part of this. We like what's going on. We like this relationship. We don't want a union in between, a relationship between a mother and her son. They voted it down. They took that to Governor Quinn, and guess what he said? He said, I don't care. He didn't care. He just kept the union in place. So then Pam, who's been treating her son for 20-some years at this point, this woman, what is she going to do? You know, yesterday was Father's Day, so think about like your relationship with your children. And all you want to do is care for them. And then some massive organization comes in between you. This organization, the SEIU, spent $70 million in 2012 trying to re-elect President Barack Obama. So she's sitting here 24 hours a day caring for her son Joshua, and she has to look up and she sees this massive SEIU organization trying to get in between her and her son. And then she looks over here and there's Governor Quinn and the massive Illinois government standing in the way too, and she's just hopeless. There's nowhere to turn. What was she supposed to do? Move to North Carolina. Exactly. Exactly. So as she was fighting this fight, she was attacked. She was called greedy and selfish. There were tweets about her, blogs about her, op-eds. And she's this woman who's spending 24 hours a day caring for her son. She has no PR firm. She can't do anything. The story about her, the narrative around her is very negative. And she has no recourse. She has nowhere to turn. What's she supposed to do? Well, in stepped two organizations, the Illinois Policy Institute and the National Right to Work Legal Defense Fund, who both offered free services to her. So on one side, you have the Illinois Policy Institute and the National Right to Work Legal Defense Fund offering free services. The Legal Defense Fund offered to represent her all the way to the Supreme Court. Illinois Policy Institute went out and changed the narrative. They told the story of who Pam Harris was, which is a mother who was trying to care for her son Joshua, not some greedy, selfish, stupid woman, but a mother trying to care for her son. They did all this for free. Contrast that with the SEIU, who went behind closed doors, had Executive Order 15 signed so that they could skim union dues off of her Medicaid benefit. So what happened? IPI told the story of Pam Harris. When they told that story, they didn't just tell the story of Pam Harris. They told it in a way that changed people's minds. So when people heard this story, much like the faces that I saw in this audience, people were like, what? How could that happen to someone? So in Illinois, one of the bluest states, people started thinking, okay, maybe unions aren't always that great. Maybe we should start questioning some of the things that are going on there. It really changed people's minds. And then, as you know, in 2014, I don't know if this had any effect on it, but they had a change in their political landscape as well. The National Right to Work Legal Defense Fund offered pro bono legal services, took it all the way to the Supreme Court, and then almost 1 year to the day, the Supreme Court ruled in Pam Harris's favor in the court case Harris v. Quinn, which came down this time last year.